Well, I have been sitting here in my game room, surrounded by my PAL library, or, as Johnny Cash once said, my empire of dirt. And I have been feeling a bit, uneasy. If you have seen the freaking news that dropped on July 1st, PlayStation officially announced they are axing physical disc production for all new games starting in January 2028. Now look, I am 45 years old. I started this journey in 1996 with that beautiful gray PlayStation 1. I remember the pure, unfiltered excitement of popping Gran Turismo, Tekken, Skull Monkeys, or Crash Bandicoot into that console for the first time. For 30 years, I have been a dedicated PAL collector through and through. But today feels like a freaking triple F freaking disaster. And I want to be very clear about one thing right from the start. What I am about to tell you is my personal vision on these facts. I have seen enough marketing cycles to know when we are being played, and I think there is a much deeper, greedier strategy at work here than what Sony is letting on. Sony is trying to tell us that the physical era is over because 85% of purchases are now digital, but they are not telling you the whole truth. And honestly, I think we are being, played. Sony claims this is a natural shift based on consumer preference. But hey, come on, let's be real. That 85% statistic is heavily padded with €2 microtransactions, weapon skins, and freaking season passes, When it comes to full base games, the disparity is much, much smaller. People still want to own their media. They want to see those blue boxes on their shelves. We have already seen the warning signs in the past, and they were freaking terrifying. Sony announced they are closing the PS3 and Vita stores too in July 2027. They did this on the exact same day they told us discs were dying. It is a double freaking whammy designed to kill game preservation. And do not get me started on the 500+ movies they just revoked from people's libraries. No refunds, just poof, gone. If I buy a digital license, I am just renting it until some freaking CEO decides it is not profitable anymore. But my PAL discs? They are right there on the shelf. Sony cannot come into my house and take my copy of Tombi or Kula World away from me. Here is what I actually think is happening. And pay attention now, please. This is my personal vision of the future. I believe this 2028 deadline is a massive publicity stunt. Why announce this 18 months early? I bet you anything that Sony is going to listen to the fans in a few months. They will let the petitions grow, let us scream, and then they will backtrack. They will say, "Ooh, we heard your cries, collectors. Discs are back. Hooray." But it is a freaking trap. In my opinion, Sony is positioning itself to stop producing discs entirely on their own. Look at the facts. Sony is already converting their only remaining disc factory in Thalgau, Austria, to make optical lenses for freaking car lights. Duh. They are investing €30 million just to get out of the disc printing business. My suspicion is that they will leave disc printing to a third party in the future. By doing that, they can honestly, look us in the eye and say, "Hey, we brought discs back because you asked for them, queens and kings, but because we have to outsource the production now to a third party, the costs are much higher." In my vision, this will be their perfect excuse to justify a €100 or €120 price tag for a standard physical game, They want to turn our hobby into a premium tier product, like vinyl records in the music industry. If they cannot kill the secondhand market, they will make the entry fee for physical games so high that it covers their perceived digital losses. They want to turn physical collecting into a sort of boutique experience for the elite. And the PS6? Well, it will probably launch as a digital-only box, and they will generously sell us a separate disk drive add-on, just like they did with the PS5 Pro, In my vision, they want to charge us €80 or €100 or more just for the privilege of using our own bloody freaking discs, It is a double dip on our wallets, plain and simple. They want a closed ecosystem because it is a total monopoly. Look at the prices. Gran Turismo 7 is still €80 on the PSN store years after launch. But if I walk into my local game shop, I can find it for €50 or even less. On Vinted, I can find it for €35. In the Netherlands, digital players are already paying 30% more on average than those buying on disc because of the Sony Tax. Without physical competition, the Sony Tax will become permanent. That is why developers and distributors in the UK and the Netherlands are fighting back with billion-euro lawsuits. They know that if the disc dies, the secondhand market dies with it. No more trading in games, no more borrowing from a friend. Just you and Sony's fixed freaking prices. There is even a stop killing games movement now because we are tired of losing access to what we paid for. We are tired of being treated like subscribers instead of owners. So, what am I doing? Again, this is just my perspective, but I am not panicking. I am doubling down on my PAL collection. These discs are going to become future freaking Grails with a massive extinct tax attached to them. If the digital future is as bleak as it looks, our physical libraries will be the only way to preserve gaming history, you know. I am staying with my discs. I am staying with true ownership. And here is a little tip from me to you. Keep a very close eye on Vinted and eBay over the next few weeks. Because of this announcement, a lot of people are thinking they have to sell everything right now. This is creating a sudden oversupply of PS3 and PS4 games, which is going to make the prices drop significantly. This is your chance to grab those hidden gems for cheap before the market settles down, because in 2 months you will be paying much and much more. So, what about you? Do you think this is a setup for €120 games and third-party printing, or is the disc truly dead? Are you ready to pay the premium, or are you moving to PC? Let me know in the comments. And remember, keep collecting because once it is gone, it is freaking gone. Peace, queens and kings. Please, keep collecting.